On this episode of the Exactly How podcast and YouTube show, we uncover exactly how to navigate through selling virtual REO properties using the Privy software tool. See you soon.
You're listening to the Exactly How podcast, where you'll hear the underground, closely guarded wealth building secrets of successful people around the globe. Discover exactly how to improve your mental, physical, and financial health. Feel better, make more money, live, give, and prosper in today's exciting, fast-paced world filled with opportunity for those who know exactly how.
Welcome to the Exactly How podcast and YouTube show, brought to you by ConnectInvestors. Now, during this episode, you'll discover exactly how to navigate through selling virtual REO properties. Now, for those of you who are new, my name is Shaun Young, today's host and proud member of the ConnectInvestors community. Now, before I introduce you to our incredible guest speaker today, I want to make a request that if at any point in the show you like what you're hearing, please give us a thumbs up or subscribe to the show so that you don't miss an episode. And make sure to look at the description of this episode as we've packed it with thousands of dollars in free resources. Now, guys, today we have the privilege to learn from someone who has successfully combined their two passions, technology and real estate. Now, prior to his career in real estate, he drove for a paper route. But all that changed when he realized that searching for and analyzing deals manually was slowing him down, and that was limiting the amount of revenue that he could generate. Now, I would describe our next guest as resilient. I'd like to give a warm welcome to Benson Juarez. Benson, thanks for being a guest on today's show.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited to talk to you, Shaun. It's great. Thanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Benson, can you tell our audience a little bit about where you're from, what market you're in, and just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm born and raised in Denver, Colorado, and I've lived here for the majority of my life. I've only not lived here during a short stint when I moved to Los Angeles to launch a different startup company in the fintech area. And I was out there for 4 years. It was an amazing experience. The company didn't end up taking off the way we had hoped it would, but it was kind of serendipitous because this company that I'm with now was one of my other investments at the time. I was an investor in Privy before I was, operationally involved. But I kind of chuckled to myself when you first said I was driving a paper route, because that takes me way, way back to my early entrepreneurial efforts. Was when I was like 12 years old, and I was looking for ways to make money. And, you can mow lawns or you can do chores. And I was thinking a little bit more than that. So I went out and got a paper route, and I did that for 6 years. Actually, let me change that. I did it up until I was 16, when at that point I had like 3 other jobs. This one summer was crazy, but I was just making a ton of money and I was loving it. But having a paper route was my first stint as an entrepreneur, and it's just evolved. I went to college. I got my degree in computer information systems. And I started a business while I was in college. It was retail nutrition stores with a consultation element. And so I launched that in Fort Collins, Colorado. And then we launched franchises in a couple different locations across Colorado. And I was really loving kind of working for myself. But right after I got bought out by my partner, because I wanted to move on to bigger things, I just felt like retail wasn't working as well as it used to. And part of it was because of technology and how the web was really becoming a place for people to acquire, good stuff online. And I saw it coming down on us. I need to move forward, and it needs to be in tech. So I went into, I actually launched a couple of my own products and did those online for a while. And then what happened after that was 9/11. So I actually, at the time, I was in the military in the Air National Guard. So I got activated to active duty, and I did.
Thank you for your service there, Benson. I'm former military myself, so today is Veterans Day. So yeah.
Yeah, this is timely. I completely forgot. I saw it earlier, but I forgot up until this point. And so I was deployed, and I did 2 years active duty. I was in Kosovo, I was in Germany, and my base here in Colorado is Buckley Air Force Base. So that's where I spend about half of my time while we were active duty. But it was just a great experience. And so again, hustling. You know, we're working like 3 12s, and then we'd have 2 off, and then we'd have sometimes we'd have like 3 days right in the middle of the week off. And I was like, this is boring. I want to make some money. I'm an entrepreneur. So what we started doing on the base is my buddy and I, we bought some real estate investing CDs. And we just started listening to them on post, and, you know, we were just listening to them and learning and educating ourselves. And that's how I got started. And so while I was there, I realized that I could generate some cash by doing mortgages. So I was doing mortgages during the day, protecting planes at night, and then go back and I would sleep for 3 or 4 hours and go do loans again. And it was just like this thing, but I was doing well. And that's how I got into real estate is by just looking for opportunities, looking at all the places in my life where I wasn't really moving the ball forward. You know, I could have easily just sat on the couch and chilled or slept in, but I was like, no, this is an opportunity to really make something of myself. And so I did that.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Now, guys, you know, before we dive into exactly why technology is so crucial in real estate, you know, Benson, you say you contribute a lot of your success to overcoming adversity. You know, can you tell our listeners why that is?
Well, I mean, the why I think comes from like my parents. You know, we didn't come from money. My mom, you know, she had multiple jobs. My dad was a hardworking blue collar guy, and they just busted their butts. And they weren't really strict with me, but they definitely gave me a lot of really good life lessons that I could take with me and that I've used ever since, you know, 12 years old, right? Like I really had really good work ethic early on, but there's always challenges along the way. You know, there's always been things that have been thrown at me that would stop me from accomplishing my goals. And you just look for solutions. And sometimes it just boils down to like, you know, really good hard work, right? Sometimes it's like solving solutions, solving problems. Mm-hmm. But I've always just looked to being better, right? What can I do today that is going to help me be a little bit better than I was before? And a lot of what I've learned over the years is most of it comes down to relationships. Like, who do you associate yourself with? Who do you strive to be like? And so I've always tried to kind of surround myself with really positive people who can help me. Most of the time it's people just are way smarter than I am. And that's always been a huge help.
Makes a lot of sense. And thanks for that answer there, Benson. You know, that's, you know, it kind of says a lot just about the kind of personality that you have, that it seems like you've always been, you know, willing to, you know, go above and beyond, you know, maybe what other folks are out there doing who are your counterparts, which has set you apart from your counterparts and allowed you to shine. So guys,
it's been great, but it hasn't always been good. Like, I've had some dark times, right? I've had some down times, dark times. And, you know, part of that overcoming adversity is how you react to those situations and just not letting yourself get pulled down into, you know, a rut or the negativeness of a situation, but learning from it.
And that's huge. I mean, that's part of it as well. You know, knowing how to accept defeats or failures, like you say, and keep it going, you know, how to keep that, you know, positive mindset. So great stuff there, Benson. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Now, guys, you know, what makes the Exactly How Financial Freedom podcast and YouTube show unique is that each and every show comes with a detailed action plan. We pull the steps out of each show, create a blueprint on exactly how to implement what we're uncovering. Plus, you get to see our free training right now. All you have to do is text the word exactly to 910-600-0630 to see for yourself. You can find properties in any town for pennies on the dollar with this software that I use each and every day, guys. All you have to do is visit ConnectInvestors.com/free to get the key takeaways, the resources, and access to the free trial Benson has offered to our listeners today. Now, Benson, what does this free trial include, and what is it a free trial for?
Well, you know, during my kind of time as a real estate investor, I became a licensed real estate agent. And after the downturn in late 2000s, we were really looking for ways of solving a lot of the major problems we were having as investor-focused agents and finding deals for ourselves and for our clients. And a lot of that came down to really realizing that normal MLS access is just not a useful tool for finding and analyzing deals. It's very monotonous and tedious, and it's time consuming. And so what we did is we looked for a technical solution to help us solve a lot of those problems, and it didn't exist. So we built it. So we went and we approached our local MLS, and we said, here's what we want to do. And at first they were really hesitant. They didn't really want to do it. But we kept pushing, right? Overcoming adversity. And we finally convinced them that this is a tool that needed to be in the hands of real estate agents and investors to be able to give them access to real-time MLS data so they can properly analyze a deal, pull comparables, estimate ARV, and also know what their maximum allowable offer should be, but based off of the most readily available data from MLS. And for so long, investors have kind of operated in the shadows, right? Like they, were pretending to be real estate agent assistants, or they're pulling data from different sources like Zillow or from all these other areas. And they could get a sense of what value is. But in a business where there's dollars and cents, and 5% in either direction on an ARV could mean the difference between you passing up on a deal you shouldn't pass up on, or getting into a deal that you shouldn't have chased in the first place. And then, a lot of these people, they become one and done. And it doesn't matter your discipline, whether you're wholesaling, fix and flip, buy and hold. If you can't get that ARV right, nothing else matters. You could have a very consistent lead generation tool. Maybe you're good on the phone, and you got the gift of gab, and you've got a really excellent CRM. So you got really good follow up. But at the end of the day, if you get that ARV wrong, or you're targeting an area to invest in where there's not fix and flip comparables to prove ARV, then you're wasting a lot of time, and it's going to end up costing you in the long run.
Great stuff. And I definitely would agree with you there, Benson. Data is always going to be king. And guys, for folks out there who may not know what ARV means, that stands for after repair value. That's what the property is worth once it is actually, all fixed up and said and done. So being able to get to an accurate ARV, as Benson said, is huge. It's key to your success in being able to deliver proper deals to your, end buyers, your cash buyers.
Absolutely, it is. And one of the things that we were talking about before we jumped on is that I don't think enough emphasis is put on having a strategic approach of where you look for deals. And a lot of investors, agents, they look for deals based off of what's convenient or what's familiar or what gives them some confidence. They think they're going to get some of that from those other areas, and that's not necessarily the case, because at the end of the day, ARV is that means after repair value. People use it kind of loosely, but it means something very specific. You can't determine ARV in a property if none of the comps have been renovated, right? You just can't do it. So what you should do is basically reverse engineer the process. Instead of being lead driven and just going to where the leads are pulling you, a motivated seller or someone who's in a distressed seller situation, first find the area that has good investor activity where the comparables are at that will help you prove ARV, and then put together a more strategic approach on targeting those areas with your marketing activities, whether it's sending out a mailing campaign or dialing for dollars, or you're driving and knocking on doors. I've done a lot of that. And back, I probably acquired 10 properties by knocking on doors, and it works, but I got a lot of no's. And I got lucky sometimes, but a more strategic approach is finding the comps, putting together a strategy on getting properties in those areas. That way, when you find a property, you find out what a motivated seller, you're going to be able to submit an offer that's realistic that will actually be accepted. Because what happens, Shaun, is you think about it as a scale, right? Say this is 100%. And let's say, you start off at 70% of ARV. So there's 30% margin on the top here that is profit and costs and all those sorts of things, right? Minimum. Now, if you're in an area where there's lots of investor activity, what happens is it pulls that up, because now the value up here, the very top of that, is based off of fix and flips, right? The values are higher. There's more margin in this area. There's appreciation going on. It pulls it up. But this back end here is where your offer is. So if you're in an area where there's high investor activity, it pulls your offer up on the back end, and that allows you to submit more realistic offers to your sellers that they're going to accept. So your acceptance rate goes up. What actually happens too, that we found out through studying the data, is that you can actually do more deals on market. So a lot of people think you can't find them. There's thousands of them out there, and we're getting ready to try to piece all that data together. But we believe so far, from what we've been able to extract, it's the majority of deals do come from on market, and a lot of investors are ignoring that as a source because of what they hear out there.
Yeah, you always hear off-market deals, hot off-market deals. Got those off-market deals? So absolutely.
Yeah, cash buyers, like all this sort of stuff. And listen, that stuff is there, and it can work for you. And a lot of people that get in this business get in because they have aspirations of meeting, financial goals and changing the lives of themselves and their family, but they never really know what to expect when they get in it. So all of a sudden they get in real estate and they're trying to figure out what ARV is, how to analyze a deal, how to run comps. Oh, and by the way, they have to learn how to be a professional marketer. So now if I have to become a salesperson and I have to do scripts and I have to know how to do a Facebook marketing campaign and, postcards and mailers, and it's overwhelming, right? So some of that can work, but there's a group of people that maybe are in the middle who never wanted to be a professional marketer. They wanted to invest in real estate. They wanted to make money. So you can do a lot of that if you have kind of a dual, multi-pronged approach to finding deals, multiple tools in your toolbox where you can target some off-market stuff and you can learn marketing as you're going, and you'll get some leads there, but also figuring out just how to run the numbers and being able to submit offers every single day. Because what's great about on market is, the seller's motivated. You don't have to chase them down. You don't have to spend any money on marketing. The offer process is established. And by the way, you get somebody new on your team, an agent who can manage that entire process for you. And all you're doing is just giving them the price and the terms. And then if you can meet on the same page with price and terms as the seller, you got yourself a deal. And then at that point, it's under contract. And if you're a wholesaler, you start marketing that thing. If you're a fix and flipper, you're ordering materials and getting your loan docs together. If you're a buy and hold investor, you're getting your loan docs together. And maybe you're placing an ad on Craigslist or doing some, minor repairs. But that's what's cool about this business is the process of finding and analyzing the deal is almost exactly the same all the way up until the point until you get the deal under contract. And then that's when those business models diverge into those different buckets that I just described.
Man, that is great stuff, Benson. Thanks for breaking that down for us. Now, guys, as nearly 1 million people know, Connected Investors is a social network of real estate investors, and it's a marketplace of investment properties. In the description of this video, I've included a link to this episode's forum discussion. Now, Benson, before we dive into the steps needed to take advantage of real estate investing software such as yours, can you explain to our listener how your Privy software actually works?
For sure. So what we realize is that ARV is everything, right? So we needed a better way to be able to prove ARV. So we basically, using algorithms and real-time data, have reverse engineered the process of helping you, number one, find the hottest areas to invest in so that you can prove ARV with fix and flip comps, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if you can do that accurately, first of all, and then put a better strategy together, now you can turn on your marketing machine, right? So if you're doing off market, you're marketing to these specific hot areas. It's all based off of a heat map. You can visually see on the map where the deals are getting done. You can see what they're buying them for, what they're selling them for. We have all the before and after data with photos. You can see what it looked like before it was renovated, what it looks like after. These images are critical for people to piece together in their mind how to go from A to B, what drives value. I don't have much of a creative bone in my body, but when I look at that final product and I see what the guy down the street just did, well, there's my blueprint for my deal when I find it. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it and it helps to limit the risk because it's based off of what other investors are already having success with. You hear business people all the time say, emulate successful people, right? Because what you can do is you can avoid making the same mistakes that they've made, but also you can accelerate your learning curve, and you're basing what you're doing off of them, right? You've got a blueprint from that. And so, that's a big part of it, but it's the algorithms. So then you can turn the algorithms on to go and look for deals in those same hot areas that match your specific deal criteria. And then at that point, you have an autopilot deals matching your criteria that show up in your inbox, pre-comped out, showing you all the houses in the neighborhood that were fixed and flipped. You know what they bought them for, sold them for, and then you can prove for that house you're looking at what the ARV is going to be if you can get under contract. And then, of course, after you've locked that property up, now you've got really valuable comparables that you can share with your buyers list to help them connect the dots in their mind. You can give them things like, here's the estimated days on market for the area. Here's how long the construction period was for these 4 properties on average. Here's their estimated purchase price and the ARV for the particular property they're looking at. So it really just limits the amount of work that people have to do, because the majority of people that are doing this business, they start off and it's the side hustle, right? They're doing it nights and weekends. And, if you're motivated enough, you have some consistency there, but that's not the reality. Life happens, right? COVID happened, people are getting sick, and, now people have to watch their kids at home and do education from Zoom and on their computers. And so life was flipped upside down on its head, and you don't want your business to go away. So, right. So the way you can actually move it forward is by using automation in your business. It's almost like having a team of virtual assistants who are doing all the heavy lifting for you, and then actually going in and just giving you the properties that make sense to evaluate. So if you can leverage automation, then you can focus every free moment you have on your business on important things. You're not running up comps on 20 properties and saying no to 18, right? The 18 just took a lot of time to say no to.
Indeed.
It's like, okay, here's the nugget. So Shaun, one of my favorite shows is Discovery Gold Rush. Right. And so it's this show about gold miners up in the Yukon that are using their own money, and they're going up there, and a lot of them are first time gold miners, and they follow them through their whole journey. It's through the mining season. And what happens is when they first get up there, there's, think about the surface of the earth. Okay. And they spend most of their time removing what's called overburden. It's useless dirt and shrubs and rocks and trees. And they bring in huge amount of like bulldozers and backhoes and all this heavy equipment to remove it. And sometimes you have to go down like 20, 30, 50 feet, which is, you can see it's very expensive, time consuming, a lot of manpower, fuel, but they have to do it to get down to what's called pay dirt. And the pay dirt is the gold rich soil that gold has been, put into over millions of years from, some gold vein in a mountain back when there was some volcanic activity, millions of years ago. But once they remove all the overburden, now they dig up this pay dirt, they put it in the back of a dump truck, and they take it up to this thing called a wash plant. And the wash plant is this huge piece of machinery that's connected to water. And what they do is they dump it in there and they shake the crap out of it. And they spray it with high powered water. And then after it goes through all these little filters, and at the back end of it, gold shows up. And it shows up in these little riffles where water runs, and it just settles. And I liken that to what we do with technology, where we get rid of all the overburden for you. We get rid of all the useless properties that make no sense, the ones that haven't been renovated for the comparables. We get rid of all the properties where there's no margins, and then you don't have to spend any time on that. And then we give you the pay dirt. And then using our CMA technology and your experience and be able to look at the comps, you can shake the crap out of those properties and find the nuggets, the ones that are going to help you make a bunch of money, because you've got all the proof to show that property is a deal. And that's kind of what we do for you.
Man, that sounds like some awesome stuff. I really appreciate that breakdown for us, Benson, and I'm sure our audience appreciates that as well. So guys, as a reminder, if at any point in the show you like what you're hearing, like what you just heard right now, make sure to give us a thumbs up. Like this show so that you don't miss an episode. It's your engagement that drives us for doing this for the community for absolutely free. Now, Benson, what do you think your life would be like if you had never created Privy REI software?
I'd be in some other startup for sure. I don't know if it would have ended up on the real estate side of things. I would be investing, but I always saw real estate investing as kind of a side hustle. Nowadays, I wish there were ways for me to get into it more actively, but with Privy, this is kind of like the house that I'm building, right? This is my fix and flip, Privy is. So we're really trying to build a strong foundation, by having really important partnerships and getting access to the best data, building really awesome tools and features and functionality. And then once we build the structure, then I believe at some point we can do something really cool down the road with it that could be bigger than I ever imagined. But I still have a passion for real estate investing, and I'm always going to do it. I just believe that technology and business is like where everything's at. And, that's why just like in the questionnaire, I'm really fortunate to be acting in my two passions, real estate investing and technology.
Benson, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on today's show. I've learned a tremendous amount about your software, the Privy REI tool, and I'm sure our listeners have learned a lot as well. But lastly, before we let you go, Benson, we have what's called a rapid fire session. Now, this is where I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and then you'll just answer as fast as you can. Then you just say the first thing that comes to mind. Sound good?
Let's go for it.
Let's do it. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how strict were your parents?
6.
Get up early or stay up late?
Both. I stay up late and I get up early.
How many hours of sleep do you get?
On average, about 6.
Favorite or last book read?
My favorite book I ever read was, this is cliche, but Think and Grow Rich. I don't know what it is about that book.
It's awesome.
I've read it a dozen times and I've listened to it another, half a dozen times.
We get that a lot on this show. It's a great, great book. Now, Benson, if you could be any superhero, who would it be?
I'm going to say Superman. I just think being able to fly like that and, go into other planets, and that's where I would go for sure.
Okay. Something that everyone should do less of.
Being down on themselves.
Something that everyone should do more of.
Surrounding themselves with people that are smarter than themselves.
Bitcoin, bang or bust?
I have no idea. I've been ignoring Bitcoin. I don't have time for it.
Understood. Will people live on Mars in your lifetime, Benson?
Probably not. I think it'd be cool though.
Gotcha. Well, that does it. Benson, I definitely want to thank you for being a guest on today's show. And to our audience out there, you guys have also made it to the end of the show. And most people never finish what they start. So you guys are special. And if you got any value out of today's show, please share this with a friend or on your Facebook page. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and send us topics you want to learn more about. And like I said, guys, nearly 1 million people use the Connected Investor social network and marketplace to connect. Now, in the description of this episode, we've included a link to this episode's discussion forum. All you have to do is tap that link, ask me and other pros questions, and see what investors are saying about this episode. So guys, until the next episode, you can catch me on the inside of Connected Investors. See you on the inside.
The Connected Investors app connects you with investors, notifies you of available properties, helps locate cash buyers, and secure private funding to close deals. Set up in seconds to become a member of the Connected Investors social network. Now you can scroll through your main feed to find cash buyers, see investment properties not available to the general public, and network with investors by adding your own comments to a thread to keep the conversation going. The Control Center is your connection to add properties to sell, start new discussions, connect with local investors, and even find private funding. The Notifications tab will keep you alerted to new investment properties and offers. You'll also find new friend requests to connect directly with the community to build your network. From the property marketplace, you'll be able to find, favorite, and make offers on investment properties. Download Connected Investors today to find, figure, fund, and flip investment properties on the go.